Welcome to Bridges and Merry Christmas. I'm Monica Schmelter. I'm so glad that you could join us, and I'm especially excited today on Bridges that you're going to get to meet all the members of the team here at WHTN. And sitting right here, you are
Allison Renborg, and I'm the media coordinator here at WHTN.
And I'm so glad that you could be with us. We're going to be talking today about Christmas first. And so I wanted to focus on my part of first Merry Christmas, what I learned, and hopefully offer some help and tips to those of you who might be in that same situation. And you are?
I'm Kathy Morgan Thompson. I'm the traffic manager here at WHTN.
And I'm so glad you could be here. And traffic manager doesn't mean you get out and like order the traffic, like give traffic instructions, but Kathy actually schedules the programs and the spots and the commercials that you see on the air. And so throughout the course of this program, you'll get to meet everybody on the team here. And we're going to start with first Merry Christmas. And I don't know about you, Allison or Kathy, but like my thought was on the first Merry Christmas, it was going to be something like Picture Perfect Hallmark Channel. And so I was really surprised when I got to the end of the day, crying on the way home with my husband in the car, that if I could just kind of cut myself into several different people, then I could make everybody happy by spending enough time. Like I didn't know how to sift through any of that. Have you gone through that?
I have. You know, when you get married, you forget that you're uniting, but that for the rest of your married life, your holidays are going to be split into two and maybe three. If, you know, in-laws are divorced. And so that was kind of a rude awakening for me and really hard, my first Christmas. And I have been married 6 years, and it's still hard. Every holiday, every Thanksgiving and Christmas, there's just a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of sadness about, oh, I can't spend Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and the next 5 days with my family. I have to go visit my other family, who I also love, and I want to spend time with, and I want to give presents to. So you really have to brace yourself and be ready for, okay, your heart is going to have to be kind of split in three.
And that's what this is all about, is for all of us to have a really Merry Christmas, and those strains of the first Merry Christmas, or maybe, you know, you're the in-laws and you want to know, how do I fit this in? So that's what we want to help you with today. How about you? Have you ever experienced first Merry Christmas or holiday shenanigans?
Yes, yes. My first dinner that I made, and we invited our in-laws over for, I just had such high expectations and just wanted it to be picture perfect, all the way down to the table setting being perfect. And dinner was about ready as they arrived, and then I just had the gravy left to do, and my mother-in-law came into the kitchen and said, "Is this your gravy?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, did you add the Gravy Master?" And
What is Gravy Master?
I said, that's exactly what I asked. I said, "What is Gravy Master?" And she said, "Well, it helps give the gravy a nice dark color, and it's a good seasoning." And actually, I brought a bottle here in case
Gravy
you've
Master.
never heard of it before, like me.
Have you ever heard of that? I have never heard of that.
So I did not handle the situation well. I ended up storming out of the house and going to get the Gravy Master because she just was insistent my gravy was not going to taste good unless I had the Gravy Master. So what I learned after that was high expectations can cause what I call letdowns, meltdowns, and even put-downs. So I've learned over the years to just tell myself that it's not going to, situations aren't going to be perfect. Things are going to happen that are out of your control. And so I try to, you know, just go with the flow now. And I think we get used to our own family traditions, and when we marry, then our traditions even marry together. And so then they become your family's new traditions. So, and I also learned to keep the humor. Try to keep the humor, and at that time of the dinner, I did not find it very humorous, but looking back, I can laugh at it. Yes. And the most important thing I learned was always have your mother-in-law make the gravy.
I love that. I love that.
Yes.
But really, that's what this is all about today. First Merry Christmas if you're the in-laws. You just realize we're merging all of these traditions and all of these customs. And I think when the expectation is too high, there is a letdown. And I remember that first Merry Christmas, I thought it was going to be perfect. And I was so let down because I really felt like, you know, the in-laws and my parents wanted us to spend a lot of time with them, and I wanted to do all of that, but it's not possible. You can only do what you can do. So I think what you said, keeping the humor and having your mother-in-law make the gravy, I think that's good. So we just want you to have the best and most Merry Christmas and meet the rest of the team here. This is all the time we have for First Merry Christmas, but next you'll get to meet other people that are on the WHTN team.
Merry Christmas. My name's Sam Cherry, and today I'm going to teach you how to winterize your car. If you're a teenager and it's your first year driving, there's a lot of car maintenance that you might not know. Let's get started. This might seem obvious, but you're going to want to change your wiper blades and refill your wiper fluid before it starts snowing. You don't want to be in a situation where your windshield wipers don't work and it's snowing all over your windshield. So, because you need to change your wiper blades once a year anyway, get into a habit of doing it right before it gets cold and right before it's snowing. Now, your wiper fluid might not be empty every year, but you're going to want to top it off with a wiper fluid with the lower freezing temperature. It's not going to do you any good to have wiper fluid if it's frozen. Now, your battery is going to be under a lot of stress this winter, so you're going to want to make sure it's in good shape before things get too cold. The first thing you might notice, and you can see on my battery here, this white chalky deposit. Now, that's corrosion. It's nothing to panic about, but it's not great. It keeps the battery from doing its job. So you want to wipe that off with a wire brush or a rag if you can get in there. The second thing you're going to want to do is test the strength of your battery. Now, you can get a kit to test this on Amazon for like $20. You can go down to your auto parts store and rent it from them. But you'll want to make sure it's in good shape. As it gets colder, your battery is going to have to work a lot harder because the electrons are going to get slowed down when they get cold. So it's going to take a lot more energy to move through the car. In the same way, your car is going to need a lot more energy to heat up and run properly. So if you don't have a strong battery, if it's at the end of its life, you might walk out and try to crank the engine and it not work, and that's not what you want right before you go to school. The most important thing to check is your antifreeze. Now, this is the fluid that regulates the temperature of your engine throughout the year. It keeps it from overheating in the summer, but it also keeps it from freezing in the winter. Now, you'll want to check it both in the radiator and also in the reservoir. You can get a 50-50 blend at pretty much any auto shop around town, or you can get a full strength and mix it with water, but I think it's easier just to get the 50-50 and fill up both of those. Now, during the winter, you're going to want to be conscious of your tire pressure. The air inside of your tires are going to get colder, and as they get colder, it's going to slow down and they'll get closer together, so you're going to lose tire pressure. About every 10 degrees in temperature that drops, you're going to lose 1 psi in your tires. So, easy way to fix this, go to any gas station, and you put like 5 quarters in the machine. Most of them will kind of let you know when it's done, so you don't even need to know like how much, you're not going to overfill it, how much air you need to get in there, but make sure you're keeping up on that because you don't want to have flat tires or even low tires when you're going through the snow. You also want to check the tread on your tires so that you'll be able to move through the snow, because if they're starting to ball, you're going to have a really tough time when you get into that winter weather. The last thing to check is your oil. Now, you should be doing oil changes throughout the year, every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, but what's important about doing it in the winter is that as it gets colder, your oil is going to get thicker, and it's going to have a harder time lubricating and moving through the engine. So, if you're doing an oil change in the cold weather months, you're going to want to get an oil with a lower viscosity. The viscosity is like the thickness of the oil, so that when it gets cold, it'll thicken up, but it'll be to a normal level to lubricate your car. Now, in the winter, you might end up in an emergency where you're on the side of the road in the snow. So there's a couple of things you should probably keep in your trunk just in case. Blankets, water, food. You might not be out there for a long time, but it's good to know that stuff is there, and especially to keep you warm. Something you might not think of is get one of those power banks for your cell phone, plug that in so that if you need to call for an emergency, you'll be able to do that. You don't need to get super crazy about it. You don't need a hatchet. You don't need, fishing line. Like, it's not doomsday prep, but just some normal things that if you were stuck out in the snow for a couple of hours, it would be really helpful. Thanks for watching. If you follow these steps, your car will run better, you'll get better gas mileage, and you'll spend a lot less time at the mechanics. So I hope you learned something, and Merry Christmas.
Hey, Merry Christmas. Welcome to the Bridges Christmas special again. We are really excited to be with you today and get to show you some glimpses into everyone's first Christmas memories here. I'm going to start with a stuffed animal. My very first Christmas toy that I remember getting was this little dog here. His name is Wishbone, and he was on a popular TV series when I was a kid. And I remember asking my parents for him because I loved to watch that show every day after school when I got home at 4 o'clock. And I asked and asked and asked, and I never got him. And then Christmas morning, I was the first one awake because I'm the baby in my family. And I remember creeping down the hallway and opening the door into the living room, and what did I see? Kind of like a beam of light, but this little stuffed dog, bright white in his packaging, looking adorable. And I was so excited. And you can tell he's not white anymore. He's been well loved. This was my constant companion for a really long time. And he hasn't actually seen the light of day in a long time until today, where he's on TV. So there you go. So this is Wishbone. And Wishbone, in addition to fostering my love of books and stories, fostered my love of dogs. So I've had a lot of dogs over the years, and I've been privileged to love them. My current little dog is the one that helped me with this project today. Her name is Mally, and this is her picture. But I've had other dogs, including a Great Pyrenees named Sammy that I loved very much. And he actually helped me a little bit with this project too. So what I want to show you is how to make a Christmas ornament with a paw print with your dog. And that just sort of celebrates your first Christmas together or your 7th Christmas together. I've had Mally several years now, but it was really fun making this ornament with her. So let's get started. You're gonna want some clay, and you wanna make sure it's non-toxic. This one I got on Amazon, and it's a little bit wet and dense, so it took a really long time to dry. I've used some other clays before that are more like foam, and they worked a lot better. But you can just go online, find something non-toxic that is air dry or oven dry, and it should work out perfectly. So you're gonna ball it up, just like this with my hands. And if you're like me, I love to work with clay. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I've never gotten like super great at it or anything, but I did take pottery in college, and it was one of my most enjoyable classes. So once you've got a ball of the right size, you're gonna use a rolling pin to roll it out. And so if your dog's paws are small, like my little dog right now, she has really small paws, this is probably about the right size. But if you had a bigger dog, like my Pyrenees, who they're very big dogs, their heads come up to right about here, you would need a much bigger oval. The other fun thing you can do if you like just a plain oval is great, or if you want to use a cookie cutter and maybe cut it into a tree shape, or a star, or even a heart, you can do that. I stuck with just an oval, and I wasn't able to bring my dog with me today to do the little paw print impression, but I did make one with Mally, and I'm going to show you the finished product. So that's her cute little paw print there, and I painted it gold because I thought that looked really cute and festive, and it has a little hole in the top, and that way you can string ribbon through it or an ornament hook and hang it on your Christmas tree. And just as a fun side-by-side, I wanted to show you my Pyrenees paw print compared to Mally's. And I thought the size difference was pretty dramatic and fun. This will not hang on my Christmas tree, but it's just a good memory keepsake to have. So I hope you learned a little something and you enjoyed this craft, and maybe you'll do it with your dog or maybe a cat. I haven't tried it with a cat before. And thank you for tuning in, and Merry Christmas.
Hi everyone, and Merry Christmas. And I've got a secret. Well, it's not really a secret, but I love movies. Yes, I love movies. I know it's not a secret, but I love all movies. I love the smell of popcorn. I love the thrill of being lost in a world of imagination. I love the excitement of, for the next 2 hours, that you're getting lost in the adventure and the stories of what you're about to see. I can even remember the first movie I actually saw as a child. It was December 15th, 1978. It was cold, obviously, it was December, but not just because it was December, but because it was at a drive-in. And if you don't know what a drive-in is, ask your parents or just Google it. Even as a 5-year-old child, I didn't want to see movies about Santa Claus or flying reindeer or elves. I wanted to see a movie about a different type of man, a man wearing a blue suit and a red cape. His name was Superman. And as silly as it may sound, I did learn a lot of life lessons and career lessons that have stuck with me to this very day. But one thing that movie did was spark a love of movies, all movies, that have followed me to this very day. And now being the holiday season, I want to give you my personal list of Christmas movies that hopefully you'll enjoy. Now, not all of them are winners by any means, but they will provide some enjoyment that you can get through on these long winter cold nights.
Jingle All the Way, 1996. A workaholic father absolutely must get a Turbo Man doll for his son or Christmas will be a bust. The plot spirals out from there, turning the relatable parental anxiety about fulfilling a child's consumer needs into a madcap action comedy. It's definitely an oddity that will live forever in the forms of memes on the internet, but you have to watch it at least once. White Christmas, 1954. White Christmas is the fruitcake of Christmas movies, a holiday standard that you either love or hate. When it comes to holiday musicalities, there is a reason to celebrate this Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney staple. The musical sequences, including the stirring rendition of Irving Berlin's Penn title track, are spectacular. But what's not to like? Well, the plot, the dialogue, and characters are paper thin. But the film's 120-minute runtime is the perfect sedative for those who cannot sleep on Christmas Eve. Elf, 2003. It's hard to remember a time when Elf wasn't a staple in holiday movie watching. Buddy, an adult man who grew up thinking he is an elf, travels to New York to find his biological father. By tapping into a childlike sense of mischief, Buddy's manic energy for Christmas is sweeter than a candy cane, but doesn't give you a post-sugar rush headache. It's a perfect stocking stuffer, thoughtful, funny, small, and not a pair of socks. The Muppet Christmas Carol, 1992. With a century's worth of Ebenezer Scrooges, well, whatever. With a bunch of Scrooges scrumping around the movie history books, it's this performance towering over and barking at Jim Henson's Muppets that feels the most immortal and the most Christmas. The Muppets renew this Victorian classic with an ornamental sense of wonder. It's also a testament to Jim Henson's achievements, literally, as his son Brian directed the film shortly after Henson's passing and dedicated it to his late father. A Christmas Story, 1983. Despite a reputation as a cheerful, running 24-hour joke fest, A Christmas Story also works as a nightmare of a movie. Few kid-centric comedies understand the very real terror of being a kid. The leg lamp, the pole licking, the trip to see a larger-than-life Santa at the mall, and the nearly eye-shooting-out finale all have it slightly twisted. Ralphie isn't just fighting for a Red Ryder BB gun, he's fighting for survival. But yet, we all did at that age. Or at least it seemed that way to us. Maybe that's the reason we love this classic so much to this very day.
So that's my list of holiday movies. I encourage you to make your own list of Christmas movies and share them with your friends and family this season. And just think, my love of movies started 40 years ago with a man wearing a cape. So until next time, keep looking to the skies. Santa might not be the only one flying around up there. And statistically speaking, flying is still the safest mode of transportation. Merry Christmas.
Hi, I'm Kathy Morgan Thompson, Traffic Manager here at WHTN. For my Christmas segment, I have 4 of my beautiful grandchildren here to help show how to make our craft today. We'll start with Lexi over here.
My name is Alexa Mostello.
Okay.
My name is Ryan Mostello. My name is Malachi.
My name is Nicholas.
And our craft segment is going to be this cute little Christmas donkey, which is the first ornament I made with my son many years ago, their dad. So I thought it would be kind of cute to have them make the same ornament I made with their father about 32 years ago. So I'm going to go over the list of supplies that we're going to need. We're going to have start with 3 flathead clothespins. You're going to need some red yarn that you'll take 3 strands and make a braid in. And then a 1-inch piece of trim, Sharpie marker. This is some fishing line that we'll use to hang the ornament, and some glue. I ended up gluing all 3 of the clothespins together to make the donkey, just for time purposes. So what we'll start with is we'll take a little bit of the glue and we're going to dab some on the front of the donkey's face here. You want to take it? Across its back here on the top. And then add some on the back side of the clothespin here. This is going to make the donkey's mane. We're going to put it through the 2 clothespins that are its long ears, across the back, and then down the back side here for its tail. So it looks like this. Need some help, Zion? Here, I'll help you. I'll put some here. Okay, let's take your yarn. All right, and then just press it across the top there so that it stays glued. All right, then we're going to take our 1-inch piece of trim, and we're also going to dab a little glue across the top back of the donkey, and then on either side to hold it in place. This is going to be the donkey's blanket that you put across its back. So you're just going to hold it in place here. Alright, and then if you want to take that and then just hold it down like this so that it sticks to the glue there. Okay. Everybody got their blanket on their donkey? Let's see. Let me help you. Okay. Well, a little more glue here. Okay. Then you're going to take your Sharpie marker and we're going to draw a face on the donkey. Just a couple of little eyes. And his nose. Very good. All right. Everybody good? All right. And there you have your Christmas donkey made out of clothespins. Thank you so much for watching our segment. We hope you have a Merry Christmas.
Hi, I'm Alex Baldwin. Now, Christmas is one of my favorite times of the year. There's just so much to love. However, if you're a kid, then there's only one right answer. The best thing about Christmas is getting presents. As a kid, I was into things like Hot Wheels, RC monster trucks, video games, but the first toy that I ever remember receiving was a creative toy called Light Bright. I got it when I was just 4 years old, and I actually have a video of my reaction to opening it. Check it out. Isn't that just adorable? I was so happy, and for good reason too. It was named one of the top 100 toys of all time by Time magazine. What were some of the other most popular toys, you may ask? Well, you're in luck. Today, I'll show you what the most popular toys were of each decade, starting with the 1960s all the way to the present, according to an article on the History Channel website. In the 1960s, as Barbie was massively popular with girls, boys were given a new toy at the dawn of the Cold War, G.I. Joe.
Government-issue Joe was marketed to young boys as an action figure, not a doll. In fact, Hasbro first coined the term action figure for this toy. They have gone through several different iterations, but they're still around and still fairly popular, spawning comics, a TV series, video games, and a feature film.
In 1977, one movie blew everyone away and started a franchise of epic proportions, Star Wars. The toys based on Star Wars grew as rapidly and massively as the movie itself.
No one predicted the massive success of Star Wars. By Christmas of 1977, toy company Kenner hadn't even started production on movie-related action figures. By the next year, they were finally able to keep up with the demand and have been selling well ever since, aided by the release of new Star Wars films.
Ah, the 80s. There were many crazy things about the 80s. One of which being the crazy popularity of Cabbage Patch Kids.
Every kid wanted to adopt one of Coleco's squishy-faced Cabbage Patch Kids dolls, and parents were willing to take extreme steps, like pushing, shoving, and even fistfights to make it happen. The product continued to exceed all expectations in 1984, resulting in $2.5 billion in retail sales.
In 1996, parents were hit with a double Christmas whammy of must-have toys. It was a full-on battle royale out there, with parents doing anything and everything to get their hands on both Tickle Me Elmo and Beanie Babies.
This lovable version of the popular Sesame Street character caused a Cabbage Patch Kids style frenzy that year. Meanwhile, toy maker H. Ty Warner decided to retire some of the successful animals, instantly turning them into hot commodities. Kids and parents scoured the stores looking for these collectibles.
In the 2000s, video games were more popular than ever. 3 video game consoles fought for dominance, but only one emerged victorious in sales, the Nintendo Wii.
We would like to play.
During the 2006 holiday season, shoppers waited for hours to get a hold of this affordable, family-friendly video game console, even though it took a while for people to get used to the wireless controllers. The Wii sold more than 100 million units in its 7-year run.
Finally, we arrive in the 2010s. Now, this decade isn't over yet, but the final toy is one that has dominated the toy aisle for decades and is still more popular than ever to this day. They may be small, but more than 400 billion have been produced since 1958. I'm talking, of course, about Lego.
The name Lego is an abbreviation of the 2 Danish words, leg godt, meaning play well. The Lego brand continues to grow and is now considered by Brand Finance to be the world's most powerful brand. It dominates popular culture with its many theme parks, video games, movies, and much more. I think it's safe to say that Legos will be popular for a long, long time.
Well, that's all, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Have a Merry, Merry Christmas.